What if I told you there's a naturally occurring compound in your body that quietly fuels your strength, balance, and even brain power? And by the time you're 60, your levels might be running low? That compound is creatine, and most people think it's just for bodybuilders. But what's really surprising? Studies are now showing it could be just as important, maybe even more, for adults over 60. If you care about staying active, strong, and mentally sharp, this might be one of the simplest, safest ways to support those goals. Not hype, just real science, and practical advice you can actually use. We're going to explore exactly how creatine works in your body, why it may help slow down age-related muscle and memory loss, and what you need to know if you're thinking about trying it. Stick with me until the end. I'll share one overlooked study on memory loss and aging that might just shift how you think about this supplement. And if this sounds helpful, consider subscribing. We share weekly science-backed health tips made for adults over 60 who want to stay strong, mobile, and independent. Let's demystify this right off the bat. Creatine is a molecule your body makes naturally from 3 amino acids: glycine, arginine, and methionine. It's mostly synthesized in the liver, then delivered through your bloodstream to where it's needed, especially your muscles and brain. In fact, around 95% of all creatine in your body is stored in your skeletal muscle, where it plays a key role in short-term energy production. The other 5% is distributed across other tissues, including your heart and brain. But here's the important part. When your muscles contract, whether you're lifting a dumbbell, standing up from a chair, or catching yourself from a stumble, they need ATP, adenosine triphosphate, your body's energy currency. ATP gets used up in seconds. That's where creatine comes in. Your stored creatine is converted into phosphocreatine, which acts like a rapid response battery pack. It donates a phosphate group to regenerate ATP quickly, allowing your muscles to continue firing without immediate fatigue. As we age, our muscle creatine stores naturally decline, especially if we're eating less red meat or fish, the top dietary sources. And here's the kicker. Muscle mass and ATP regeneration also decline with age. So supporting both with creatine becomes more relevant after 60, not less. Let's make this real. After age 60, your risk of sarcopenia, that's the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength, increases significantly. According to Harvard Health, sarcopenia affects nearly 1 in 3 adults over 60, and more than half of adults over 80. That loss isn't just about strength, it's about balance, stability, and independence. Muscle weakness is one of the leading risk factors for falls, and falls are the #1 cause of injury-related death in adults over 65. So what role does creatine play here? A review published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle found that creatine supplementation, combined with even light resistance training, significantly improved muscle strength and size in older adults. How? The combination of faster ATP recycling, better cellular hydration, and possibly enhanced anabolic signaling, your body's muscle-building cues, all work together to counteract the natural decline of aging muscle. One often overlooked benefit is how creatine improves intracellular hydration, the water content inside your muscle cells. Here's why that matters. When creatine pulls water into the cell, it causes something called osmotic swelling. That triggers a mild tension inside the cell, which your body interprets as a stressor. In response, it upregulates protein synthesis, the process by which your body builds and repairs muscle tissue. Think of it like gently inflating a balloon. That internal pressure signals to your body. This cell is working. Let's reinforce it. This phenomenon, known as mechanotransduction, is one of the key ways creatine helps preserve and build muscle mass, even in people who aren't lifting heavy weights. That's part of why one 6-week study found that older men who took creatine while strength training gained 2 kilograms more muscle than those who didn't, even though they followed the same workout. So by now, it's clear that creatine isn't just about powering through workouts. It plays a central role in how your muscles and cells produce energy, especially during short, high-demand movements. But here's the surprise most people don't expect. Your brain needs creatine just as much as your muscles do. Just like your muscles, your brain relies on ATP to function. In fact, your brain is one of the most energy-hungry organs in your body. It accounts for only 2% of your body weight, but consumes 20% of your total energy. Every time you think, recall, plan, or react, you're burning through ATP. And just like with muscle, creatine helps replenish those energy stores through phosphocreatine. A clinical study published by researchers at the University of Sydney found that creatine supplementation led to measurable improvements in working memory, specifically in the ability to recall sequences of numbers. Participants improved from an average of 7 digits to 8.5 digits. That's a 20% increase. And here's what's even more interesting. The people in the study were vegetarians, meaning they started with low baseline creatine levels due to diet. This makes the case even stronger for older adults, many of whom eat less red meat, either by choice or due to digestion changes. So, what does this mean for you? If you've ever walked into a room and forgotten why, struggled to remember names or dates, or felt like your mental battery runs out faster than it used to, creatine might offer quiet, meaningful support. Inside the brain, creatine plays a few key roles that go beyond energy support. Neuroprotection. Creatine may reduce oxidative stress by stabilizing mitochondrial function, the energy factories of your neurons. Neurotransmitter balance. Some studies suggest creatine helps modulate brain chemicals like glutamate and GABA, both of which are involved in mood, memory, and focus. Cerebral energy buffering. When blood glucose drops, which can happen more easily as we age, creatine acts as a backup power source, helping brain cells keep functioning smoothly. These mechanisms are especially relevant in older adults at risk for mild cognitive impairment, the stage between normal aging and more serious memory loss. In fact, researchers from the Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry and Neurology recently suggested that creatine might have potential as a low-risk intervention for supporting memory in aging populations, though they caution that more long-term studies are still needed. You won't feel creatine the same way you feel a stimulant. There's no rush, no buzz, no mental high. Instead, think of it like plugging a slow-draining leak in your battery. Over days and weeks, your reserves build back up. Your energy becomes more stable. Your physical and cognitive performance becomes more reliable. One soft-spoken but powerful benefit: reduced mental fatigue. Some participants in long-term studies report that their ability to concentrate, finish tasks, or mentally push through longer periods of activity improves noticeably after consistent creatine use. That might mean finishing a crossword without zoning out, staying sharp through your afternoon errands, or having more mental energy during conversations with loved ones. Dr. Scott Forbes, an exercise physiology researcher who focuses on older populations, puts it this way. Creatine is one of the only supplements I regularly recommend for older adults. It has strong evidence for improving muscle strength, bone health, and potentially even cognition, with very few downsides. Similarly, the NIH notes that creatine may help older adults preserve strength and lean mass, especially when paired with resistance training. It's not a cure, but it's one of the most reliable, accessible tools we have for aging well and aging strong. Now let's address something that often scares people off: water retention. Yes, creatine does increase water content in your muscles, but not in the way most people think. This isn't bloating or puffiness around your belly. It's intracellular hydration, water being pulled directly into the muscle cell, where it can actually help improve volume and function. In fact, this kind of water retention supports muscle performance by improving nutrient delivery and reducing the risk of cramping. Your weight may go up by 1 to 3 pounds, but what you're gaining is muscle water, not fat. It gives your muscles a fuller, more toned appearance and supports function where it matters: balance, stability, and endurance. If you eat less red meat or fish, feel your muscles tiring faster than they used to, want to support your balance, brain function, or daily energy, then creatine might be one of the simplest, safest ways to give your body and your brain a little more of what it needs to thrive. So if you're curious about creatine and wondering whether it's the right fit, you're not alone. It's one of the most researched supplements in the world, and yet, most older adults still don't hear about it unless they're in a gym. That's a missed opportunity. Because used wisely, creatine isn't just safe. It can be one of the most effective, low-cost ways to support energy and strength after 60. But like anything, it helps to understand the nuances. Here's the simplest way to get started. Look for creatine monohydrate. No blends, no fancy ingredients, just the plain stuff. That's the version used in nearly all long-term studies. It's affordable, stable, and reliable. No need for flavored drinks or super stacks. Start with 3 to 5 grams per day. That's about 1 rounded teaspoon. You can mix it with water, tea, or even a smoothie. There's no strong taste, and no need for timing it around workouts unless you want to. And yes, you can take it on rest days. In fact, you should. Think of it like filling a reservoir. Steady, daily use builds and maintains your muscle creatine stores. Skipping days makes it harder to keep those levels topped off. A lot of fitness websites talk about loading, taking 20 grams a day for a week to saturate your muscle stores faster. That works, but it's not necessary, and not ideal for older adults with sensitive digestion. Instead, just take 3 to 5 grams daily for about 4 weeks, and your muscles will become fully saturated over time. No stomach upset, no rush. Here's what the science says about creatine side effects. In most healthy adults, creatine is very well tolerated. But at high doses, like during a loading phase, some people experience bloating, cramps, nausea, or loose stools. That's because your intestines can only absorb so much at once. The rest ferments or draws in water, leading to discomfort. That's why a low-dose, slow saturation approach is not only safer, it's smarter, especially for older adults with a naturally slower digestive transit time. Taking creatine with food and staying hydrated can further reduce any chance of stomach issues. This is one of the most common concerns, and an understandable one. Many people worry that creatine could stress their kidneys, but here's what the data shows. In healthy individuals, long-term creatine use has not been shown to harm kidney function. In fact, dozens of randomized controlled trials, some lasting a year or more, found no negative impact on kidney health in people with normal renal function. This includes older adults and even some populations with mild health concerns. However, if you have chronic kidney disease or are on medications that affect renal function, talk to your doctor first. Creatine itself doesn't damage the kidneys, but if your filtration rate is already low, any added waste burden needs to be evaluated on an individual basis. So the bottom line, if your kidneys are healthy, creatine is safe. If they're not, always consult a medical provider. Let's clear this one up too. This concern came from a single study in 2009 that found a short-term increase in DHT dihydrotestosterone in male rugby players who took high-dose creatine. DHT is a hormone linked to male pattern baldness, but the study didn't actually measure hair loss. The sample size was small, and follow-up research has not replicated those results. More recent reviews, including one in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition, found no consistent evidence that creatine increases testosterone or DHT in a meaningful way. That said, if hair loss runs in your family and it's something you're worried about, you can always take a more conservative approach. But for most people, the risk appears to be minimal to non-existent. Another myth is that creatine dehydrates you or increases cramping. Here's the truth. Creatine does draw water into your muscle cells, which is a good thing. It supports function and fullness, but that also means your overall hydration needs go up slightly. If you're not drinking enough water, especially during exercise or hot weather, mild dehydration could happen. The fix? Simple. Just drink more water. Aim for 8 to 10 cups daily, and more if you're active. After age 60, your recovery gets slower. Your energy systems don't recharge as easily. Your muscle mass starts declining, unless you actively protect it. Creatine isn't a cure, but it amplifies your efforts, whether that's light strength training, daily walking, or simply staying sharp and steady throughout your day. It's not about looking younger. It's about moving better, thinking clearly, and staying independent longer. So now you've seen the full picture. Creatine isn't just for athletes. It's for anyone who wants to keep doing the things that make life feel full. Walking with confidence, lifting grandkids, remembering names, staying independent in body and mind. And after 60? That kind of strength isn't a luxury. It's a lifeline. Let's strip away the hype. When you take creatine consistently and give it time to build up in your system, what you're really doing is helping your body recycle energy faster. That means your muscles tire more slowly, your movements feel more stable, your brain feels more alert, especially during tasks that usually drain you. And the science backs it up. Study after study, from places like NIH, Mayo Clinic, and the Journal of Geriatrics, shows measurable benefits for muscle strength, mental clarity, and physical resilience. You're not just hoping for a boost, you're supporting the very chemistry your body already runs on. Just a few grams a day. No hype. No loading phase needed. Drink water. Stay consistent. Be patient. If you're taking medications or managing a chronic condition, especially related to your kidneys, always talk to your doctor first. Most providers will recognize creatine as safe when used responsibly, and some may even recommend it. And remember, this doesn't work instead of movement. It works with it. Even light resistance exercise, like bodyweight movements, resistance bands, or stair climbing, can dramatically improve results. Here's the truth most people miss. You're not getting weaker because you're getting older. You're getting weaker because your muscles and brain are losing the tools they need to recharge and repair. But those tools, like creatine, are still available to you. And it's never too late to make small changes that lead to big gains in how you feel, move, and think. You're not just aging, you're evolving. And evolution doesn't stop at 60, or 70, or ever. So give your body the fuel it needs, and let it surprise you. If this was helpful, consider subscribing for weekly, science-backed health tips made just for adults over 60. And turn on notifications so you don't miss the next step in staying strong, focused, and independent every single day.